This land, it is a fertile land, and here we shall thrive, and we shall call it this land. We shall call it your grave. Ah! Oh, sorry. Didn't see you there. Hey, everybody. I'm Marty Walser, also known as Raging Owlbear on social media. And today we're going to talk about big dragons. More specifically, we are going to talk about Icons of the Realms, the adult red dragon and its brothers and sisters. Everywhere good dragons are sold. Actually, everywhere evil dragons are sold. So let's open up this big bad boy box and see what's inside here. So as you can see, the box is it's pretty sizable. This is an adult red dragon, which is technically a huge creature, I think. But you know, because of the way they've now made the bases, they actually have like a gargantuan size base, and then they have kind of like a little inner ring to show you what the huge size would look at. But let me get to that in a minute. Let's get this bad boy out here. Nicely encased in plastic. Lots of noise, clatter, 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 and here he or she, here she is, in all of her lovely glory, or his, who knows? Could be like Jurassic Park. They change sex depending upon mating capabilities. But as you can see, it's actually a pretty significantly tall. About half. The head is about half the size of my forearm, and the wings span almost the entire length, basically the length of my forearm. And it's a pretty nicely hefty miniature. The wings are very chunky and very solid. Um, it's quite tall. And some of you may remember way back in the day, in the mid 2000s, Wizards of the Coast was putting out very large dragon miniatures, some really massive ones. There were a colossal black, a I'm sorry, not a colossal black, a gargantuan black, a gargantuan blue, a gargantuan white, and a colossal red. And some of us were lucky to have picked some of those up back when they were, relatively speaking, inexpensive. Um, but for a long time, because of the way oil prices were and resin costs were, we didn't see big miniatures out of D&D for quite some time. And mostly it was due to expense. Plastics got very expensive in the early to mid 2000s. And there was a number of other economic factors that occurred around that time. But just in the past few years, things have really, the price of oil has come way down. The technology for casting and creating prototype models and all that stuff has gone way down. So the whole sort of manufacturing side of things has gotten a bit cheaper. So now we're again seeing big miniatures, and this being one of them. So this red dragon, retails for, I mean, I don't know what the exact MSRP is. I think it's around $75 or thereabouts, $80 maybe. But you can pick it up for about $70 online, and it has several other dragons of the similar size. There's an adult white, there's a new adult blue, an adult green is coming out, and there's an ancient white that's even bigger. But let's look back at some of those miniatures from back in the day and see how this compares. Because It is a sizable miniature. As you can see, I talked about how they have these new clear bases that have, sort of the huge 3-inch size on the inside, and then the sort of larger gargantuan 4-inch size. So you can basically use this mini as whatever, size dragon you want because it looks impressive on the table. And so that you sort of have the option of saying, okay, maybe this is an ancient dragon, or maybe this is, or you just like big dragons. Um, so here's the thing. Let's take a look at how it compares to some of those early. Now I don't have the colossal red dragon. It was one of those things that at the time I didn't pick it up, and it's nearly not quite 15 years later, and I'm kicking myself over that decision. I should have. The funny thing is that if you had put, at the time, the colossal red dragon retailed for $75, and that was 2005, 2006, roughly 2006, I think. And if you put that money in a 401k, 15 years later, you'd have maybe half of what you needed to buy it today. So invest in dragon miniatures because they outperform your retirement savings. Okay, I'm not truly, but well, the point is that if you were to keep it, if you were to have purchased one of those big red dragons back in the day and kept it in good condition, boy howdy, it's worth something on the market today. Anywhere from $350 to $500. Be that as it may, that's neither here nor there. Let's look at some of the other ones though that didn't quite skyrocket as much, but are still nice ones. Here's the gargantuan black, and if you look at the sort of red side by side comparison, the height is pretty close. Now, granted, the red is off the ground a wee bit, but from the basic sculpt itself, it's a pretty good comparison. If you look at some of the older colossal dragons, and this is the black, and here we have, I keep saying colossal, I mean the gargantuan. And here we have the white, sort of put side by side, and here we have the blue. Now, the one thing you'll notice about the older dragons is while their body size or length of the wingspan is equivalent to this, they're very chunky. They have really thick, brutish bodies. The sculpts, and they're all kind of hunched over, probably because they wanted the molds not to be too expensive. So a lot of them they're not quite as expansive as they could be. And of course, the black dragon is one exception. It has the wings that are a little bit more unfurled and it's more upright. And of course, the colossal red was very much stood upright and tall, but its wings were not stretched. They were still kind of kept in that sort of wrap style. But the point being is that these new dragons, whether it's this red one or the white and the black that are out now and the green that's coming out, are put these guys up for, a run for their money, so to speak. So even though these older dragons are very chunky, they're very, definitely he's been going to arm day, you can see. And, actually his leg day is pretty good too. So these older dragons are definitely, they're muscular and brutish, and the newer ones are a little bit more lithe and thin and stuff like that. But I don't see that as a downside necessarily. I mean, they're lovely figures, and the sculpts are really nice too. The one advantage that the red has, I think, over the white and the green that's coming out, not necessarily the black. The black is that its pose is a very upright pose, so that makes it a very imposing figure. The black is an upright pose as well. Here's the old black, but the new black adult dragon has a very upright pose. The white and the green are more in that sort of flying, low crouching pose, and that's not bad. I'm not, I still like the sculpts and stuff like that, but from just from a boy howdy, like sticking this thing on the table kind of thing. You know, it's tall, it's imposing, it's very big. Now, of course, if you go out and buy the ancient white, which is getting harder to find right now, you know, roughly $100 uh, on the secondary market, a little bit more with shipping and stuff like that. And if you can get it in if you can get it in your local game store, $100 as well. But yeah, it's I don't know if it's selling out, but if you do want to get that particular figure, if you do want to spend $100 on that, you should probably think about doing it sooner rather than later, because once supply gets more constrained, the secondary market prices are going to, eBay is going to go through the roof on that big mamma jamma. But this, you know, again, online is still available for just about $70. So, so there are other dragons. Of course, you know, like I said, WizKids is going a little bit dragon crazy. Actually, they've got a lot of really big miniatures lately. They're really, you know, they're pretty much the only. I don't want to say the only one on the block, because there's Reaper and there's other mini makers, but they're the only ones that are offering painted in this particular size right now, as far as I know. Unless you go to something that's like a, you know, more of a kid's toy, like the Schleek, that German manufacturer, and try to find some funky looking dragons. But you know, from the point of D&D game, WizKids is the only one offering painted stuff. But which sort of brings me to when we talk about like how this might compare with other dragons that are currently on the market. Now, this dragon is one of the Pathfinder battle dragons that was painted. Came out a few years ago. Now, this one is no longer available painted, but is available unpainted. Now, if you actually look, well, it does have a gargantuan size base, same size base as the, and even though it's smaller from a height and stature standpoint, the features are pretty close. The size of the head is just a little bit smaller. You know, the wings are smaller, and obviously they're furrowed in to make this like a tighter sculpt to fit in a smaller box. But for the most part, the body is similarly sized. The tail's a little bit shorter. I mean, this one is a little bit bigger than this one, but the unpainted version of this red dragon, the gargantuan red, is like $25 right now. So if you like painting and you are, you know, like, oh man, I don't know if I can spend $70 on this massive miniature, but you want a nice size dragon, this one unpainted is like $25. And I think actually the green dragon that they offered, I believe, is still also on the market for about the same price, the unpainted version. I'll have to double check on that. That was one I did not check. But these came out about the same time, and retailed for $40 to $50 at painted at the time, and now the unpainted versions are in the 20s, 20 to 20, $25 basically. So you have a lot of options these days, and a lot of them from WizKids. You know, and obviously Reaper does have some unpainted large dragons as well. So you might want to check those out. But this guy, you know, $70. Oh, there is another. There's a red and black Pathfinder dragon as well. That's slightly smaller than these. They are painted. There comes two in a package, the red and the black, both painted for about $50. Now, I think those, I haven't seen those in person, but I believe the size of those are more like these sort of smaller, huge dragons from, you know, this was from, what do you call it, the Pathfinder Battles Dragon Evolution. This was the larger one, the huge red dragon in the Dragon Evolution, and this is one of the older D&D minis from back when. And I believe the black and the red are about the size, maybe a little bit larger, just a tad larger. Two for $50. and that's also a WizKids offering because they do both the Pathfinder battles and the Icons, the Realm dragons. So there's a lot of dragon options out there. And again, these larger ones retail for between $70 and $80. The blue one looks really nice. So, oh, and the blue is a little bit smaller simply because it's not in a flying pose. It's on the ground, but it is an impressive mini as well. So that's it. So yeah, that huge white is about $100. The adult white, black, and blues are between $70 and $80. And the unpainted, ones are about $25. So you have a lot of options out there. And again, if you want to check out some of the what Reaper has unpainted as well, they have some pretty sizable dragons as well. So that's pretty much all I have to say about this guy. Oh, there's one thing, WizKids did announce that they're putting out a Tiamat mini. Now, when I say mini, I'm sure it's going to be gargantuanly huge, because it is going to retail for about $400. So I probably won't be able to get that one. I think that might just be just a wee bit out of my price range, but I do have a really nice little Tiamat here. Let me show you. Forgot to put it right in reach. So if you don't want to spend $400, you might be able to find this guy online. There, look at that bad boy. 1980 something lead Tiamat. So, yep, that's the poison metal. Let me lick it here. Yummy lead. But anyways, I just wanted to show that. I had this old mini that I dug out recently. I found, and I thought it was kind of funny. I need to probably do a repaint on it. But there you go. This was the size of Tiamat in the 1980s, because it was cast made out of lead. And it is, let's see if we compare it to the gargantuan. It's a bit smaller, just a little bit smaller, but that was a pretty impressive miniature for 1985 lead, 1984, 1985. Let's see, is the date on this thing? Yeah, 1985 actually. Grenadier. So anyways, I don't have really a whole lot to say about the Big Red, except that it's big. These wings are very solid. Actually, they're not very flexy, which makes me a little bit, worried that I might have to take. Well, I mean, I'm going to take pretty good care of this mini, obviously, but that was the one thing about some of the older minis, is that the plastic is a little bit more malleable, especially the old D&D minis. They had a lot more malleability in their parts, and these plastics are a bit harder, so you just probably have to be a little bit careful about some of the little spiky bits. There you have it. I've gone on probably way too long. Here's the adult red, and by the way, this was paid for with my own money. Nobody gave me a promotional, mini, but WizKids, if you want to, call me. But it's a nice mini. If you want a big dragon, this would be a good one for your collection if you can afford it. And again, if you want something a little cheaper, there's a lot of alternatives that are nicely priced, and pretty much WizKids has them all. But anyways, I've been Marty. I'm Raging Owlbear on social media. Go ahead and look me up on my blog. Give me a like, give me a follow, give me a subscribe. Do all the little things. Press the bell, as they say. And hopefully I'll be doing some more reviews and more stuff on my blog. Actually, I have a Car Wars thing that I'm going to put up soon. So I just need to get back to writing that. So I hope you have a good day wherever you are, and I'll see you soon. Have a good day.